Hello, I'm Captain Phoenix and welcome to my corner. In this video, I'm going to talk about these releases, the last recordings with Bill Evans, Consecration I, Consecration II, and Consecration Immortal. These are, as I said, the last recordings made with Bill Evans. I'm going to talk about the last time, the situation, the trio, the last time in Bill Evans' life, and how these recordings came along. I'm also, of course, going to tell you about what I think of them and what you can expect if you consider buying them. I hope you'll find it interesting and hang on. So just before we start, I'd like just to make clear that these records were some that I bought myself. I ordered them in Japan. They were only released in Japan in the beginning, around Record Store Day 24. I'd also like to tell you that I add on some extra information, especially from this book, How My Heart Sings, Peter Pettinger's biography of Bill Evans. Also, I draw a little on Times Remembered, which is the Joe LeBarbera, the drummer, his story about the last 2 years with Bill Evans. And also I'm gonna draw a little on Laurie Verkromin's The Big Love, the girlfriend of Bill Evans in the last 2 years of his life. So this is what I have read for this video and I want to share with you. I think most of us know Bill Evans mainly as the piano player in a trio, and these recordings are with his last trio with Mark Johnson and Joe LeBarbera. Evans have made records solo and duet with Jim Hall, for instance, quintet, quartet, even with a symphony orchestra. But the most common ensemble he plays in is the trio, and so is these ones. He have had more or less 4 trios, big trios during his life. The first one with Scott LaFaro and Paul Motian. Probably the best one in 60 and 61, 1960, 1961. Then a couple of years later, he formed a trio with Chuck Israels and Larry Bunker. After that, he played with Eddie Gomez and Marty Morell. That was his longest trio, almost around 10 years, from the mid-60s to the mid-70s. And then his last trio, this one, Joe LeBarbera and Mark Johnson, the young bass player, which lasted only 2 years. But they made a lot of recordings and a lot of concerts at that time. So these are the results, some of the results of this. But before we go into the music and the records here, I'd like to give you a little context about Bill Evans' life at the time of these recordings and the time leading up to them. One thing that was important, unfortunately, was that Bill Evans was a heavy drug user at that time. He had been for a long period, a long career. In the beginning it was heroin, then he almost got clean and got on some methadone. But in the last year he was a cocaine junkie. So, and that meant a lot. And for the last month he lived, it was almost all that he cared about, and the music on these records and other records as well. So 2 things were taking up all Bill Evans' focus and mind, the drugs and the music. And he was able to somebody describes it, to flip a switch when he went on stage. So even though he was a heavy user, you couldn't hear it, you couldn't feel it when he played. He was just as lively and energetic as always. The recordings are made in August and September 1980. And the year before that, several things happened in Bill Evans' life. His brother Harry, he had a 2 years older brother Harry, and they were very close. But Harry had schizophrenia, and he unfortunately shot himself in the spring of 1979. And that really was a heavy hit to Bill Evans. He stopped playing for several weeks, and some of the biographies mention that from that day on, it was just a question of time of when Bill Evans wasn't here anymore. So that was just over a year before these recordings were made. Also, in the start of 1980, the trio had been on a very hefty European tour. Most of the spring, they played in Norway, for instance, at Molde Jazz Festival. I'll leave a link to a great broadcast of that made by the Norwegian television. They played in Italy, in Germany, and all over Europe, and they were very busy, and that was tough on Bill Evans. He was not in a good state at that time. As I mentioned, he was a very heavy user, and he didn't have much energy. But he played almost all the planned concerts, but he was worn out. When the trio got back in the States, they had a little time off, but then it was more concerts. They played in Oregon, they played in Los Angeles, and in San Francisco, where these recordings are made. And they had seven nights there, and another extra was added, and the recordings here stems from these nights. It doesn't on the cover say which night it was, but it was made, as you might be able to see here, in the time between August the 31st and September the 7th in 1980 at the Keystone Corner Jazz Club in San Francisco. And the last concert on September the 7th was just 1 week before Bill Evans died. They went back, after the concert were made, they went back to New York, played 2 nights at a newly opened club called the Fat Tuesday. On a Tuesday and Wednesday they played there, and then on Thursday they should have played. Bill Evans tried to drive his car to the club, but he wasn't able to manage it. They had an accident and he couldn't play, and so he did not play any more of that week. Some other piano player substituted him. So he was really not in a good state after these recordings, and on the 15th of September, they were trying to go to the hospital. Joe Barbera drove the car. His girlfriend, Laura, was with him, and they tried to get to some methadone program at the hospital, but he was not allowed to. He had skipped it earlier, and then he got ill later the day, and even though they managed to get to Mount Sinai Hospital in New York, they were not able to save Bill Evans. So yeah, that was the end of a great piano player, and the end of his life and his career. But we have these recordings, the last ones, and what do we have here? We have 3 records, and they are part of what was originally released as a 10 LP set with I think all the recordings from the Keystone Corner. This box has not been available for many years, and the few ones that are sold are very expensive. So I think it was a good idea to re-release at least some of the material here. And that's what was done in Japan in Record Store Day here 24. And I've seen after they were released, and I bought them from a Japanese seller. I've seen them in Europe, I've seen them in Paris, and I know they have been for sale in the States as well. So I think you might be able to find them in record shops around the world nowadays. But yeah. Here we have got 7 tunes on a Consecration I. We got 7 tunes, a mix of Bill Evans' own tunes and standards, and the same goes for this one with 7 tunes, sorry, and the last record, Immortal, contains 8 tunes here. there's some of the tunes on this one is actually on the two others in another version, but not very different. So out of these 8 tunes, only 4 of them are not on the other records here. I've compared the different versions of the same tunes, and there's not much different. And what characterizes this is that the interplay and the working together of the trio is very, very great. They really find each other good on these tunes. It's like kind of one organism, especially Bill Evans and Mark Johnson's playing together is very, very good. It reminds me a little bit of the high standard and quality Bill Evans and Scott LaFaro had on the Sunday at the Village Vanguard and Waltz for Debbie, the 2 famous recordings with the first trio. And I think we are probably not up there, but we are not far away from the quality of their play here. Evans and the trio, he plays a lot of more quiet tunes here, but on the ones that when they really get engaged and play in a high tempo and high energy, you're not able to hear that this was recorded only 1 week before he died, before his system finally gave up. He had lost a lot of weight. He had no energy. He had to be supported to the car and on the stage some of the nights. But you don't hear it when they play. The quality of the music is very, very good. The pictures here are from earlier. I think it's from at least a year earlier. He was not looking good at that time, and it's described in several of these books here how he looked in the end. Everybody could see, and I think he was aware himself that the end was near. But he gave it all when he was on stage, and he really liked being on the stage playing his music. That was really what kept him kind of alive for the last part. So we get the trio format. We get the music as we kind of know Bill Evans' trio music from many other records. Though there's in a way not so much new here, except from this is just another good example of a very skilled and very talented musician, and his last recording, which to me at least puts it in a special category. So you could ask yourself, do we need more Bill Evans recordings, more Bill Evans trio albums? And you could say, yeah, maybe not. There's been a lot for the last many record store days, and these ones were from the one in April 24. I'd say I'm very much into Bill Evans, so I like them. I dig them. It's not the best trio recordings he's made. I think the prize goes to the first trio, Sunday at the Village Vanguard and Waltz for Debbie with Scott LaFaro and Paul Motian. But I think we are not far from there. The interplay is, as I said, very, very good, and the quality of the music is really high. The quality of the recording itself it's okay, it's decent, but it's not audiophile, and the pressing, unfortunately, the pressing on one of my copies is not very good. There's a lot of background noise. I've not been able to find out where they were pressed, but yeah, it's released by Timeless Records, as you can see up there. So the quality is decent, it's okay, and if you buy it in a shop, I think you can get it switched if you have the same pressing issues as I have on one of mine. But it's not too tough, it's not too hard, not too much. So I listen to it from time to time. It turned out I was very eager to get these records. It turned out that I actually had a lot of music, a lot of the music on them already, because I a few years ago bought this one, Bill Evans Trio, the last, also called Consecration. This is a 2 LP set, and you can see that the images are kind of from the same time period, and the content on this 2 LP set is exactly exactly the same, and then as on the two first of the others here, Consecration I and II. So now I have have it 2 times. The quality of this recording is like the other one. I'm a little more lucky with the pressing here, but the quality of the recording is okay here. And then there were another release from the same concert here, namely this one, the Brilliant, it's called, with as you can see, the trio. And here we got some other tunes that are not on the other one. Laurie, for his girlfriend here, he wrote a tune to her, Letter to Evan. That's a tune for his son. He had a son with Nanette Sassara, which he was who he was still married to when he died, even though he had an affair or lived together with Laurie here. We have got Morning Glory, which is not on the others here. Theme from MASH is, and the same goes for the last one, Knit from Mary F. But there's Bill's hit tune, there's Up with the Lark, and there's Gary's theme. Great tunes as well, and so you could argue that you get a long way with this one, and this one you don't have so many versions, so many melodies in the same and different versions here. Unfortunately, this my copy here, is not very well pressed. It's on a kind of gold-colored vinyl, the Brilliant here, but I've seen it come out on black vinyl, also from Timeless Records. So maybe you're luckier with the black one. But where are we in the hierarchy of Bill Emmons trio recordings here? On the top, there's Sunday at the Village Vanguard, Waltz for Debbie. That's the one you have to buy, in my opinion, if you are just like a little bit of jazz, then it is a must-have, both of them actually. Then there's some good trio recordings from Montreux, for instance. There's some good recordings with the trio with Eddie Gomez and Martin Morell for this long period. And I think that these recordings, except for the technical quality, they are up there almost. So I can recommend them, especially if you're able to get them a little cheaper than I was when I had to import them from Japan. So yeah, I dig them. I hope that it sometime would be able to get all the recordings, the 10 LP set, but that seems to be impossible. It seems to be also way too expensive. So this is what we have now for the very last recordings of a great piano player and a great trio as well. Overall, a little sad story, but then it's good that we have some of his good music still on records, and his engagement and his playing doesn't fail, doesn't tell how bad things were. So that's good. I hope you could use this little video maybe to find your own Bill Emmons recordings, maybe these ones, and if you don't have them already, Sunday at the Village Vanguard and Waltz for Debbie, definitely. So I'll say thanks for your time, and thanks for watching, and I hope to see you back next time. Thanks. Bye.